We started our online fitness business a couple weeks ago, and as the leaders in online fitness business education for a lot of years, we got to know all of the software companies inside and out. We have been working with them. I've been an advisor. I've advised basically every major software company. And so when it came time for us to build our system, I wanted to choose the one that we were going to work with, the software program that we were going to work with, that was going to be the right combination of ease of use. We're going to onboard a lot of coaches very quickly to work with our clients. We brought on 5 at the beginning, but we wanted to build a system where we could bring on a lot of coaches. So very, very quickly. So it had to be really easy to use, had to have the right kind of automation, had to have the data that we needed in there, had to have an Android app and an EOS app. And so we decided to use PT Distinction. And that's not just because they were the sponsors for our show. We decided to use them after looking at all the options for what we needed the best, and really, really have been loving them so far. So I can't recommend PT Distinction enough if you're looking for online training software. And normally they give a 30-day trial fee to check out the system. But what they've done special for us and listeners of the show, so that's you, is giving you guys a 60-day trial. So basically double their trial period, really to make sure you love them. And one of the things I love about that is it's not like a coupon code. It's nothing, right? Like they're putting skin in the game. Like they're basically willing to let you try out everything they have for free for 60 days, knowing that you're going to love it so that you keep using it. And that to me is a testament to just their own belief in the quality of their system. And that's one of the things that I really look for. But I want to kick it to Ren for a second. Ren, you're one of our coaches in online trainer coaching. Yep. And so you just started using the system, 2 weeks ago and got in there. So how are you finding it so far, man?
It's very much like a pair of shoes for a kid. You can grow into it. What I love about it is how simple it is at the front end.
How did you just come up with that?
Yeah, I just made that up.
That is the best analogy that I think, like that analogy was so perfect for what perfect. You're talking about. And I know you just came up with that on the spot.
I did,
amazing.
But it is, you grow into it. So it works at every level is what I'm finding out, because I'm a little bit more complex as a trainer. I've been online training for a while. So I've been around the block, as they say. And one great thing about PT Distinction is it can go from simplicity to sort of explicit detail in a short amount of time. If you need more detail, if you're expert at programming, PT Distinction makes sense for you. If you're new to programming, PT Distinction is great for you. It's got a great library. So I love the fact that it will sort of grow along with your training business. That's one of my favorite things about it so far, having engaged with it for only a few weeks. So, I got to say, normally I don't support your choices, Jonathan. We all know that. But in this case, I'm willing to say possibly that you didn't make an error.
There you go. I mean, that's fantastic. So guys, if you're listening and you want to get going with that deal, with that special deal for PT Distinction, you can go to the show notes for this episode or just go straight to onlinetrainer.com/PTD. And you'll see there's coupon code. Just enter it in when you check out and you'll get the 60 days to check it out. Next up, I want to talk about the Online Trainer Academy for a moment. Is that cool if I do with you guys?
Yeah, we don't mind.
Okay. Well, there you go. So the Online Trainer Academy, a lot has been happening with the quarantine. A lot has been happening with COVID. A lot of people are talking about online training, are talking about how to do online training. What they're missing, simply put, is the breadth of experience. There are some things that you simply can't learn effectively quickly. And if you're a instructor, if you're somebody putting together curriculums, one thing that I've learned is that it takes a lot of time, because no matter how good a system or a strategy is, you've got to kind of watch that strategy go into the world and be used for like a year plus minimum in order to actually get any reliable information from it. And this is what we provide you guys with the Online Trainer Academy. This is not something that we've put together overnight. We've been around since 2013. 40 plus experts contributed to this. We had the senior course developer from Yale University do an independent audit on the learning styles of this. Just as one example, we've actually had multiple academic independent audits. We've had over 30,000 people go through this, battle test it, prove it in 87 countries. And all along the way, we've iterated on and improved upon in ways that, to be quite honest, you probably can't really even tell if you're going through it. You know, what makes a great program is not stuff that you notice. What makes a great program is comfort going through it, or things that you're applying, you're making use of the stuff as you're going without really even knowing just how powerful that stuff is. And then you look back at it a few years down the line and you're like, oh man, they prepared me for this.
Yeah.
And so I would love it if you guys were to join us for the Online Trainer Academy, see what we're all about. I mean, we've got a guarantee, you know, if it, like, we put our money where our mouth is, man. Onlinetrainer.com/academy. Sign up. You can get going for as little as $87 a month for 12 months. We guarantee you that you will make a minimum $1,000 with your online training business within 90 days of enrolling, or we'll give you your money back. Like, test it out, take the leap, and we'd love to work with you. That's the Online Trainer Academy, onlinetrainer.com/academy. We'd love to work with you.
Hey, so I never made it to the march.
What? Why?
Yeah, I went to my father's house instead because of stupid quarantine, and my boys backed out on me at the last minute. But I went to my dad's house, and that was pretty epic. My dad's like 6 hours away from me.
Okay.
So I drove there. And
where is your dad? What about
he's in North Carolina, but North Carolina it has great width, great side to sideness. It's long sideways state. So I'm in like the big toe of North Carolina, and he's closer to the heel.
So what you're saying then, if I'm reading you properly, is you're saying North Carolina is thick.
It's thick with 2 C's and a UH after the C's. Thick.
North Carolina, that's a thick state.
Thicker state.
Y'all just keep driving and driving and driving. Y'all never leave.
You never get out of North Carolina. It's like the conveyor belts of the southern states. You get on it and you stay on it. And then you're like, oh my gosh, where am I? You're still in North Carolina.
That's like Texas too.
Yeah.
I grew up so close to Texas. It's like you can drive for 9 hours and you're still in Texas.
Texas is the biggest, most wide open, easy to get lost in state I've ever been in my life. I've driven in many states in these United States. And Texas, every direction looks the exact same. There are landmarks in Texas, water tower, and that's it. And there's a water tower in every direction.
Oh yeah. I would tell you about my road trip story in Texas.
You did?
Oh,
Is this
boy.
the one where you went to? This is the one where you went to Albuquerque?
I went to Albuquerque, went to Roswell.
Albuquerque?
Yeah, with the young lady, because when you met her, you were not of age.
Yeah, she was an older lady actually.
All right.
Yeah, that was the issue. That's why.
Did I ever tell you about the time I dated an American? And he was from Texas, from Amarillo, Texas.
Oh yeah.
Amarillo.
Nothing about that surprises me. He just popped across the border down to Monterrey. Pop down to Monterrey, Mexico. Come to
Just the mere foreshadowing of your story is alarming, Catalina. Like,
yeah, you don't want to know.
yeah, I feel like I'm going to be subpoenaed after when you get to the end of it. Man, I can't go to court again. I can't go twice.
Well, you know what we can do? You know what we can do to avoid that one?
What's that?
Hello, my name is Jonathan Goodman, and welcome to the Online Trainer Show. Today is episode 32. 33. Today is episode 33, I think, and we're talking about how to turn your clients into raving fans who promote your business for you. Thanks for being here.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show.
We shouldn't have a podcast. I so enjoy the shushy sound that happens after you introduce the show every time, Jonathan. Like, I don't get to hear the whatever that thing is, like Optimus Prime just landed from the spaceship with the rest of the Transformers. I love that sound.
Yeah, when they first sent us, here's the thing about producing podcasts is it's really dumb. all of those little decisions, like you never think about it, but like every decision is like, okay, we're going to send you a whole bunch of different intermeaning sounds and you have to choose which one. We're like, you guys are the experts here. Why am I deciding what sound I should choose to split parts of my podcast when I don't have a podcast and I know nothing about it? And you are literally a podcast production company. And so they send you like 10 sounds and I'm like, just send me like the 2 you're deciding between. And then of course they sent me the 2 and I'm like, yeah, both of those are terrible.
Jonathan's absolutely lying here. I remember the list. I'm on the Slack channel. Slack is the platform that we use to communicate as a business entity. I'm on the channel and I remember Jonathan specifically saying, send me 2 that sound like fresh breath. I want 4 sounds that sound like an epiphany. It sounds like somebody had an aha
None of this
moment.
happened. What I did say,
Just random.
The ones that they originally sent, Amber, you can back this up if your delts, if the sound can make it past your delts.
Jacked.
I don't know if it can.
Amber's jacked.
You know what it is? The sound immediately when it hits her body just goes in a crescendo.
It does. It does. She's like a walking soundproof. You know, when you're driving down the highway and there's those walls because there's a fluent neighborhood behind, they don't want to hear the highway noise. That's Amber's a walking version. That's her shoulders are a walking version of that.
So Amber, what we're saying right now, if there's one thing we've learned about this podcast, it's that Amber's shoulders are a highway barrier wall.
Pretty much.
That's what you're saying?
Pretty much. It's the eighth and ninth wonder of the world. Amber's left and right shoulder. We could multiply it by 3 if we really wanted to break the delts down into anterior, lateral, and medial. But I mean, I don't want to get too technical here, even though this is an online trainer podcast. So Jonathan said, and send me 4 of those. I want 4 that sound like dogs giving birth but he wanted under medication. We never used those sounds, so we ended up with the Transformers landing. He's like, do you have an Optimus Prime landing in the first 2 Transformers movies? The third one's trash. Everybody knows that. And that's what we ended up with. And I love the sound. I listen to our podcast just to hear that sound after you introduce the show.
It was such a long process too, because you asked for, we need dogs giving birth. And they came back and they said, we actually don't have that, unfortunately. The rights were too expensive. But what we do have is one dog trying to jump over another dog and can't quite make it. And I said, no, that's not going to work. Okay, how about we get a deep breath sound, but not too deep. And then Amber came in and said, why don't you just send this to me? This seems like way too much time we're spending on this sound. Right. And then they sent the sounds and the first sounds that they sent were like the sharpest things ever. They were just like super fast, like intense. I was like, that's not going to be very nice in the podcast. Right. You guys should know this. You're a podcast production company. You should know what sounds good. And so it was actually way too much time finding that sound. And it really isn't that big of a sound. And it really isn't that an important aspect of our podcast. I feel like we should have maybe spent that time figuring out how to do a podcast and not on the sound.
Probably.
But it's kind of like choosing your software as an online trainer company, isn't it?
Oh, there you go. There's a segue. Hey, segue. I see you out there. Segue. Hey, segue. Nice, Jonathan. So, Catalina, Amber gets a lot of nude requests. What's going on in your life?
Okay, so I'm totally jealous that she gets requested nudes because I get sent nudes. Like, I don't want anybody's nudes, and I don't understand why some people feel the need to just send them, you know, for what? For feedback? Should I be like qualifying you, like grading you? I don't understand. Like, maybe I should.
Nothing to do with online coaching.
Yeah, just like selfie myself with like a thumbs down and be like, try again.
You can send back the Randy Jackson idol gif. Yeah, it's gonna be a no from me, dog.
You should send back a message. Just say, it looks like you're in elementary school. Please stop sending me photos.
Oh, you never grew out of your first one. How cute. That's what you should comment. Awesome. You never grew out of your first one. You still got your baby teeth. But Amber, the new request is like every 3 days, you have some strange interaction with people who just, and And the last person didn't even ask for Amber's nudes. Like he just asked if she had any topless shots. Do you still, as if she's a curator of nudes of some sort? You know, she's got a museum of
a dealer. She's a
dealer. She's a pusher of nude photography. He's like, you got any more than topless shots?
Side gig.
so odd. You know, so I was supposed to go to the March thing on Washington, and I was telling the podcasters here on air that I did not make it. Quarantine, blah, blah, blah. You got to quarantine from my state. If you go to Washington, D.C., you got to stay in for like 14 days. And I'm a habitual rule follower. People know this about me. You know, could I have gone? Yes. And then my homies dropped out on me at the last minute. They decided not to go. So I went to see my dad. So that's how I spent my Thursday off, because we didn't record a Thursday podcast.
Right.
And my weekend, etc. But, you know, I hope you guys had awesome weekends. You know, Jonathan, weren't you off the grid for a moment this weekend?
I wasn't quite off the grid, so I'm finishing my lunch. I wasn't quite off the grid. Yeah, no, it's salmon. So I still got some in my mouth, so there might be a little bit of like saliva and chewiness.
That's right. That's all right. You enjoy that much.
I thought you guys were going to talk about nudes for a little bit longer, so I took another bite. But
normally we do.
That's what we do on the podcast. I wasn't quite off the grid, but we had some great time at college. We got together with some friends.
Oh, nice.
Which should not be something that is worth mentioning.
Right.
But
right.
It was. We got together with some friends. We had a great time. There was 6 boys.
Nice.
That were at the cottage with us, and it was just kind of chaos, man. It was fun. We played toilet tag. I'd never heard about that before, but basically what that is one person is it and is chasing around everybody else. And if the person who's it touches you, you've got to put your arm up, like the arm of toilet. And then anybody else can come and flush the toilet, and that unfreezes you. And then you get to run away again.
Oh man, I've never regretted asking a question so much as I do now.
Yeah,
that was a just complete waste of my time. We are all dumber, sir, for having heard the explanation of what you did this weekend. May God have mercy on your soul, Jonathan Goodman. But we've got to talk about things today, though, don't we? We've got things to talk about as Jonathan finishes his lunch and washes it down with some beautiful sweet Kool-Aid. We've got to talk about
that purple drink.
Yeah, we got a little. Ain't nothing wrong with a little drink every once in a while. Make me drink.
You want some orange juice? No, I want that purple stuff.
What's that purple stuff? I would actually want the purple stuff, though. Didn't the purple stuff look enticing? You know, Sunny D's not that. You know, no disrespect to Sunny D. I don't. Carolina's got her drink too. Everybody's drinking except for me. You know, Sunny D's not that great. You know, I don't think that we're ever running the risk of them becoming a sponsor here, so I can badmouth them a little bit. But, you know,
say whatever you want about Sunny D. I'm okay with that.
It's not a great alternative to your orange juice. I mean, it's pretty awful, to be perfectly honest with you. It's
the general rule that I live by. I mean, I have a number of general rules, but one of my general rules that I live by is that anything artificially neon, I don't really want to put on my body. Carolina, hold up your drink again. What is it?
It's purple.
Yeah, artificially neon. I would not put that in my body.
It is delicious.
I'm sure it's...
But it looks like you have a cup full of antifreeze. Jonathan Goodman has. He has said up front that he's out.
I feel personally attacked because a lot of people don't know this, but dragon fruit is one of like the fruits kind of that Mexico gave to the world. So this is
okay. Dragon fruits are delicious.
Yes, dragon fruit.
How many dragon fruits do you think have ever come in contact with that drink in any capacity? My guess is 0.
There's some. It's flash frozen. They're there. They're floating around. They're
at the least. There's 7,200 grams of sugar in that drink that you're drinking right now. At a minimum, it's.
Stop sugar shaming me.
Yeah, my God, there's no dragon fruit has ever seen the inside of that cup in any shape, form, or fashion.
You know what? You know what? I love what Carolina did. She tried to make this about her culture.
Right.
She tried to make us feel bad, shaming her for her neon drink by talking about how it's something that her people gave to the world. You know what else Mexicans gave to the world? Like basically civilization. That's important.
And like me.
And Catalina. It almost evens out.
Yes, a lot of that. A lot of astrology.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, the Mayans were huge.
On the astrology there?
Astronomy.
Astronomy. I'm sorry.
Astronomy.
Isn't that astrology?
Astronomy is the study of the stars, like the actual map and of
What's astrology then?
Astrology is the signs, like, oh, you're a Pisces, you're a
Oh yeah, no, it was
Gemini,
astronomy. Yeah,
Astronomy.
yeah, no, they're not gypsies. No, that's definitely true. What else did Mexicans give? Like you look at even what came out of Oaxaca. Oaxaca is like basically everything that healthy people love.
Yeah, pretty much. Everything that a hipster loves, you can trace it back to Oaxaca. Like,
really?
Pretty much.
List it out, like cacao, vanilla bean.
Yeah.
What else? What else came out?
Avocado toast.
Came out of Oaxaca.
It's so funny that that's an entire thing right now, and I'm like, oh, that's been breakfast, since I was born.
It all came out of Oaxaca. And there's so much more. So for some reason, Carolina tried to talk about how her culture is great in a way to justify her neon drink.
And I regret nothing. It is delicious.
What's the tag that's on the drink, Carolina? Is that a blood sugar reading? Is that an A1C?
No, it just is the name mango dragon fruit. That's it. What's our topic today? Are we going to talk about online training at all? Or are we just like...
She's grown weary of our conversation down there. I don't blame her. I'm a little tired of myself. So we're turning our clients into raving fans. Is that it? Other things?
Oh.
This is good. This is a good topic. People should want to hear this, right? I think it's a good topic.
Yeah.
It's easy. The best type of marketing, right? Is from the client. Is that correct?
I'm gonna save you here, man.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Jump in.
I have no idea what I'm saying.
I was just waiting for that to go just slowly.
Oh, I was headed there. I can guarantee you, I had a sentence and a half left, and everything it was going way off the rails. Thank you for that. I'm gonna go to sleep now.
I like this topic a lot. Yeah, you can cut your video off.
All right.
Make sure no trains go by. Yeah, take a little nap. I like this topic a lot because it's not really talked about a lot, but I feel like it is really important. I mean, this comes down to it's not quite, and you'll see as I talk about it, it's not quite choosing your customers. I mean, that's certainly part of it. A lot of us don't have the opportunity necessarily to choose our customers at any one point in time. I can give you an example of one time where we did and where we were very purposeful about it with a long-term vision in mind, but it can and should drive your product development, and it can and should drive where you go out and find your customers and what personalities you look for in them. So let me talk about this first. There's basically two components to this that I want to talk about. The first is the importance of including people in the process of development of your product. And the second is looking for people who showcase very specific personalities that you feel like are going to be important to your community and the types of people that are going to shout your name off the rooftops. And so I'll talk about the first one first, including people in the process of development of what you're doing. There is something to be said for being involved and having ownership or perceived ownership in a product or service that makes people want to talk about it. It's why it's common practice in books when you're writing a book to include as many other people as possible in that book. And so something that I do very purposefully, I mean, I'm not writing any more books for a while, but the last book that I wrote, and even back to Ignite the Fire is something like 90 people mentioned in the book. Mm-hmm. The last book that I wrote, The Wealthy Fit Post Guide to Getting Clients, has 40 or 50 different people mentioned in the book. And a lot of them were thoughts that I probably could have talked about myself.
Right.
But including every single other person in the book, like basically I said, okay, I want to make this point. I could make it myself, or I could find somebody else who has already championed this point, because really most of the time we're not coming up with anything new. Mm-hmm. We're probably putting it together in a new way. So I looked for people who have already kind of championed that point or produced something about it. And I reached out to them and asked them if they could be included, or I quoted them. and included it in the book. Because then when the book comes out, now they're a part of it. Now they look good by being a part of it.
Right.
And every single one of them now wants to show off that they're a part of the thing. And all of a sudden you have people promoting you. Well, the same type of thing with your clients. You can include your clients in the production of your service. Ask for feedback, thank them publicly for making your program better. These are pieces of content that your clients now will share because they're now a part of the process. So anytime that you can look for ways to include people that do business with you in some capacity to become a part of the process, to have their name on it in some way. Their name doesn't necessarily have to be on it, but their name on it in some way, or to become a part of the process or development or iteration cycles, the better. And really, you should not just take it when it comes. You should go out of your way to design your development so that you include people on it. And down to, if ever you have a thought, don't talk about that thought. Go out on the internet and Google that thought, because I bet you're not the first person to have it. Find somebody else who's already had that thought, quote them, tag them in that thought, and then expand upon it. And in tagging them on that thought, even if it's somebody you don't know, odds are they're going to share it. They're going to share it in their Instagram stories. They're going to share it on their Facebook, whatever it is. You do that day in, day out, you're going to crush it. What did, is even one step further. Here's a really good, in our level 2 of the Online Trainer Academy, I think it was Joe Messina who first talked about this, and then Jim did it, Gazelle. And whenever he goes to a restaurant or has a snack or something like that, he tags the restaurant.
Yeah.
And like gotten clients from it. So Jim did it. Jim went out to like this cookie bar or something, I think is the story. You guys might have seen this. Went out to a cookie bar, took a picture of himself eating a big cookie, talked about how, because of how he understands nutrition, he's able to indulge and enjoy the good things in life, like this amazing cookie from this cookie bar, and how, you know, his client can too. Tell a story about a client who's also able to indulge, tags the cookie bar. The cookie bar then shares that all across their platforms because it makes them look good. And then people contact him that were following the cookie bar.
Yeah, it's pretty brilliant. I remember Gil's example. Yeah, it was pretty good. It's wonderful.
And so my point here is, like, it goes beyond clients. Like, how, like, every single time you do anything with anybody else or think of anything, always as your first step, you should go out of your way and say, okay, well, instead of like yelling in my little silo here, who else might look good by talking about this? Like, I remember one person when found your quote about brand and marketing one time from an article that I wrote on our website where I quoted you. This is before we were doing the podcast and stuff. And they created, like, it was a quote about the difference between brand and marketing. Do you remember what the quote was?
My quote?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was marketing is asking someone on a date or asking them to marry you. Branding is the reason that they say yes or no. Just sort of a simple allegory for how people confuse the two. And that thing traveled, man, because I got 3 other people who have shared that with me from other sources since then. And then I got my copy of your book that you sent me the other day. I was going to interject that. And you did just that. You sent me a copy of the book where you had that quote in it, and you marked the page with a very nice pink sticky.
Yeah, that's right.
And a radically poor sketch of me wearing a Nike hat. It was just almost
insulting.
Yeah, almost didn't know what it was. I said, "Oh, Jonathan fell asleep as he was signing the book for me," and the pen escaped his hand, and it drew all over the bottom of the page. And then I looked closer, and it was me wearing the worst Nike hat I've ever seen.
Yeah, you should hold on to that. It's going to be worth something someday.
Oh yeah, I'm going to frame it.
But so you put that quote out in a Facebook group. I then, in an article, wanted to talk about how short-sighted a lot of marketing stuff is and how branding is actually really important. Like, what do people think when they think of you? Mm-hmm. So your marketing stuff really only is going to work if people are already, like it's only going to work in any capacity if people already have some sort of thought of you that they, that's hopefully positive that you've earned. And so I wanted to talk about this in an article. And instead of just talking about it, you put out a great quote in our Facebook group. So I quoted it. And then somebody else who I guess reads my stuff or came about it or might have even Googled it, like some marketing person. I mean, I have no idea who it is. You have no idea who it is. Some marketing person who writes a blog. Then I guess wanted to talk about something similar. There's no new ideas. We're not the first people to say this. And wanted to find an example of somebody who had said this eloquently to quote them. Smart. So now he's including somebody else in another market in his stuff. He finds that quote. He includes it in his article. He gives attribution to Ren appropriately. He creates images then. Did he send them to you, Ren? How did you get a hold of them?
I just saw the tag on Instagram.
So he tags Ren on Instagram with images that he made with Ren's face.
Right.
So Ren looks great. Ren has shared this like 3 times now. Yeah. Ren has shared this person's business.
Yep.
All because this one person, instead of saying something that they could have easily said themselves, just quoted somebody else. So imagine now if you do that. By the way, if you're looking for the secrets of how I grew the PTDC website, like this is it.
Your lists, of course.
Like we have over 1,000 articles on that website. There's over 800 contributors. You know how many different people have ownership in that platform?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that it continues to do well, even though apparently writing is dead on the internet? Why do you think we still get a few million people that come to that website every year? Writing isn't dead on the internet, by the way. But it's just because there's so many other people involved. And that's a systematic thing. So include other people in the process of developing your product, give them ownership of it, go out of your way to find people to mention and quote, and then tag them in it, make them a part of it. And then what will happen is they will then send people to you. And even plan this like we do on Instagram once every 2 weeks. I think we're doing it now. We do a Follow Friday where we basically we look for people doing incredible work in the fitness industry. Mm-hmm. We find them on Instagram. They don't know we're doing it. And we create like one of those like scroll things on Instagram of whatever, 5 or 6 different people. And we basically just tell our audience to follow them. We're like, here's 6 amazing people in sports rehab you should know. Here's 6 amazing pre and postnatal female coaches that you should know. Whatever, right? We pick a topic, we find people and that are really doing great work. We put their picture, we put a little blurb about why they're great. We tag them and we put their Instagram handle. Well, guess what? 5 out of 6 of these people share this all over their platform.
Right.
And because our platform is personal trainer development, we get tons of new followers every time we do that. And we're sharing good work. Like, why could anybody could do that no matter what? Hey, this person's awesome. You think that person is not going to share that? Even if that person has 100,000 followers and you have 800, I bet you they're still going to share it.
Right.
And then you just got to make sure your home base is attractive, right? So you got to make sure your account is something that people are going to be interested to follow once they get to it, or else you're going to get a bunch of people clicking to figure out who you are, and then they're not going to be interested, and then they're not going to follow it. That's number 1. Anything to add there before I get into point number 2, folks?
I was just thinking about Keto and how she sort of she does that in the context of Girls Gone Strong. I know Keto will quite customarily she'll do something for Girls Gone Strong, and I'm wondering, do you feel like helps you bring your audience into the fold of the whole Girls Gone Strong thing, Keto? Like when you're posting things on their behalf?
Yeah. So what happens is that, so it's a little bit of like a twofold, because through them, I have created amazing relationships with other professionals who are, our peers, and who now, I'm aware of their work and I respect their work, and we chat back and forth. So that's always super helpful. You want to find your people. the internet, right? Like other professionals like you that you can collaborate with. And the other part is because you're sharing valuable resources that are relevant to your target audience, then yeah, like there is definitely like a back and forth. Like people find me through the stuff that articles that I've written for Girls Gone Strong. It gets shared on their platform. And so they find my name and they end up on my platforms thanks to that. So for sure, like the more you can collaborate with companies that you love, you know, whose information you admire, then, you know, reach out and try and work with them, because for sure that's the kind of people that you want in your circles.
Jonathan, this is sort of a common thread that runs through the podcast here, just how important it is to just not be a total dick to your colleagues. You know, I wish I could say it some other way, but that's it. You know, that's it. But I'm thinking about that as you're talking about how much people like to edify themselves through your thing. Because I was for sure going to share your book this week on my page because you sent it to me and quoted me and put wrote the little nice note in with the horrible Nike hat drawing. You know,
the swoosh is not difficult to draw.
It's not a hard thing.
I did that very quickly.
Yeah, it looked like you did it very quick. I was not under any. I didn't look at it and say, "Man, Jonathan really toiled over this for hours." You know.
No, it was very quick. I had to go.
Yeah,
I had things to do.
To the bathroom.
No, I was just done for the day.
Just leaving. Okay, you had other things. That makes sense.
I actually left that day early from the office because I just didn't. You know, I figured that there wasn't anything important for me to do anymore.
Right.
And Bobby was just like, "No, you got to sign this book." And you said that you were going to draw a picture, and I was like, "But I really want to go. Okay, I'll do this super fast so I can get out of here."
Right. That's the level of love that I felt through the note that you left in the book. An afterthought. You know. Thank you so much for that, Jonathan. Of course, my self-esteem today on the podcast. But please continue. That's a great first tip, though. You know, so where do we go from that point? What's next?
Yeah, to your point, general respect of your colleagues is not just important because it's just a good thing to do. It's literally the best marketing you could ever do.
Yeah.
Is actually support good people doing good work. You cannot do anything more important to build your business than that. And the barrier is so low, the bar is so low for doing this, that if you do even the littlest thing, you will stand out so much. It's amazing. Actually quite uncanny. Like, how do I get other people to talk about it? How many get sure? It's like, say something nice about them.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally, that's all you have to do. Say something nice about them, and they will share it.
They
Create
will.
a nice little picture saying this person is awesome, and they will share it. like that's what you do.
So true.
Number two is perhaps a little bit more nuanced, takes a little bit more forward thinking. It may or may not apply to you, but I think it's an important enough point that I want to mention it. And before I get into it, I'm going to tell you a story about fast food.
Do it. Oh, he froze. So let's talk more about Amber and her topless photos. Just refer to that. It's literally listed as item B on the list of things to talk about.
Oh, God. But
when you include people in these posts and you tag them, I always go with the tag, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking based on what Jonathan said so far up to this point, you know, there have been clients that have helped me through exit interviews through my process and my programs. You know, I do 12-week programs typically. And when I do my exit interview, part of what I do with my renewal magic for all you OTA level 1 guys and gals out there is I like to go into a process where I do an exit interview. What did you like? What can we improve? And I've got some great tips for that. I'm just sort of expounding on sort of edifying the clients in terms of co-building your process, Jonathan, and I'll be brief. But what I found out is that they give me great tips. One great tip I got was to have an orientation week. Instead of starting out week 1, have an orientation week. So now I have a 1-week process where the client gets to interact with the workout, the platforms, the apps, all that. I got that from a client and it worked magically for my new group of and I'm thinking now that I should probably tag that client in a post today and say, hey, thanks so much, client X. You know, the orientation week worked out so well for this group's cohort. They love it. Thank you so much. And something tagging like, you know, I love to listen to my clients. Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about why. Talk about the why it works so well and how it makes everybody so much more comfortable.
Right.
And how you know, that's
attribute that to my client.
Why. Yeah.
And they're probably going to share that, as Jonathan said, or at least comment on it. You know, I was just stalling for time and talking about topless pictures until you came back, Jonathan. Please continue.
So I want to start the second one with a story about fast food, and the story, I don't actually remember which restaurant it was. It was like Wendy's or something like that. But basically, it was an interview with the owner of the fast food company, the founder of the fast food company, and they said, you know, you've got hundreds of stores. And it's incredible. And the thing that's so incredible about all of your stores is that every time I go into any of them, everybody is smiling. What are you doing? How are you training these people? What do you like? Do you have special protocols? Do you treat them particularly well? And the owner of the fast food restaurant just looks at the reporter and goes, no, I just hire smiley people.
Go.
And it seems like such an obvious thing. If you want certain personalities because you think they're important, you find people who naturally have those personalities. You don't try to force it. So if you are looking for clients who are going to be big promoters of your service, find people who are already very active on social media.
Right.
Go to your competitors' Instagram pages and look at the people who are constantly commenting. If you want to increase interaction on your Instagram page, connect with the people who are already commenting on your competitors' pages. Treat them better than your competitors do because your competitors are probably largely ignoring them.
Right.
And then bring them in. If you want people who are going to talk about you in Facebook groups, well, find people who talk a lot in Facebook groups.
Right.
And connect with them and convert those people. Like, how do I get people to talk? Nobody is letting me upload photos of them, transformation photos, and they're getting all these great results. It's like, well, some people are just more private than others. Like, there's no script that I can give you to try to, we'll give it a nice word, persuade these people ethically to want to let you use their photos. No, find people who already share photos of themselves all over the internet.
Right.
When we were going to build level 2 of the Online Trainer Academy, one of the things that we knew was very important because of the way that the program's structured, and when you join us, if you join us in level 2, you'll see how this all works. But we have a very small, very active, incredibly just really great Facebook groups. My favorite Facebook group to be in by far. And it's helpful, it's fun, it's everything that a Facebook group should be.
It's positive.
And the reason that it is that case is part luck for sure, but Jason and I were very, very purposeful in the first cohort of people that we took in. So we knew that we only wanted 20 people for the first cohort, and we knew that they were going to build the base of our community. And so we went out of our way to find people who were always positive, who were always people who celebrated other people online, and who loved to engage in social networks. We went out of our way to invite those people into the program. And what's happening now, 8 months later, is because they formed the base, they created how that group operates. Right? Now there's that precedent. Anybody new who comes into this group now already enters in, and it's kind of like the rules unconsciously are laid out. Like, this is how we act here. Like people like us do things like this. We're kind of weird, you know, we're kind of different, but we care deeply about our clients. We care deeply about how we put ourselves out into the world. We care deeply about making money and building great businesses, but like, we have fun doing it. You can't, like, I don't care how good your mission statement is. I don't care how good your SOPs are and your operating documents are. if you want people who are of a certain personality, you need to go out of your way to where those people already are and include them in what you're doing. At least at the beginning, because then they form the base of it. It's very, very important as you're building your platform, as you're building your community.
That's a great tip. Keto, we sort of do similar things. I mean, we're both OTA level 1, OTA level 2. Yeah. We both had interaction with GG, with Girls Gone Strong, et cetera. Do you remember a time when you had a dead, like, and I almost hate to say this because I've had the experience of exactly what Jonathan's talking about, but do you remember having the experience of having a dead group of cohorts? Like,
oh my gosh, yes.
They
it's
just
silent. Nobody interacts. It's like everybody's afraid of each other, or they're not involved. They're not engaging, and it sucks. Like, it's the worst. And really, like, the best thing to make anybody come out of that is to, like Jonathan says, to start adding people who are very different, who actually enjoy talking to each other and asking questions and answering for others and all that stuff.
This has been a huge gap in my onboarding. I'll be the first to tell you this, and I'm ashamed to say it, as a person who managed a sales organization, several of them, for a long time, and would preach the lesson, hire for attitude, not aptitude. Like, that was my mantra, because you can teach anybody almost anything, but you can't teach them how to have a great attitude. So I always hired for attitude, not aptitude, but I never did that in my business. I think I'm leaning towards that direction now, but I haven't been deliberate about it. So that's a great tip for me, Jonathan. I'm so glad I stayed awake the entire podcast today. I knew that I was going to get a nugget like that. Is this what happens when you stay awake at work? This is amazing.
Should do it more often. We're on episode 33-ish, so it's good that you're catching up.
With the sleep, it feels like 10 to me. So, but potato. But that's great information. Are we summing up now? Is it time do we need to wrap it up, B?
Yeah, I gotta go like now. So I'm gonna pop out and you can sum it up.
All right. So see you later, Jonathan. Thank you so much for your contribution. He's like a dad that visits on the weekends, isn't he? But in any case, so what we've seen here today is, number one, a deadbeat podcast dad, Jonathan, going back to his women and beer now in his tiny one bedroom.
Well, it was good. It's good. 10 minutes, kid.
Yeah, good talk, kid.
Good talk.
But number one, just sort of curating your own group. Your own list of clientele. That's a great tip. I absolutely love that. If you want people who are going to speak out about you on social media in a positive way, find people who are on social media being positive. I mean, duh. I feel so dumb not having thought of that up to this point. And then the other point, just including people in the process, tagging them if you can, wherever you can use someone else's intellectual property in a good way. Don't steal it. When you use somebody else's intellect, I'm not advocating. That's not what we're saying. When you told me to get it line for line, we got enough of that going on. But use somebody's intellectual property in a way that you congratulate them for it. You give them a shout out, and they're much more likely to share things that are going on with your business, even if it's your clients and they're helping you sort of co-build a process or giving you great tips. Say, hey, I use this tip with my group, and one of my group members told me this. One of my clients said this, so I just want to give her a shout out. Not only was she an amazing client, she improved things for the next set of clients, and people are much more likely to share. Amber, anything you want to add here? You've got a shirt on. That's unusual for you today. Guys, don't attack Amber. Like, we're absolutely joking because it's already weird in her inbox. It's weird enough already. Like, we don't need Keto. We don't need to make it any more weird for Keto either. She does not actually want to rate you.
No,
so do not inbox her either. These are podcast jokes, folks. But for show notes, onlinetrainer.com/podcast, go give us a review. Let the people know that you're enjoying what we're doing. Share it with your friends. And we'll see you next time on episode 30-something, 30 whatever, 33, 34, something in the 30s. This has been the Online Trainer Show. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. Jingle, 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 jingle. Party time. I'm going to go have snacks.
I laughed a lot. Bye.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.